right.
And that's why I said, cool, good.
Let's go.
All right.
Let's go.
And welcome to another episode of the Dynasty Trades HQ podcast. Brought to you by
the Dynasty Football Factory. I'm your host.
Brought to you by Shane Manila.
That's my partner in life.
Oh my God.
Jeremy Browand. And that's my love.
Dude, we'd make great life
Oh my
partners.
God.
We'd kill each other and be divorced.
Holy crap. This whole thing, this is what it's going to sound like when we have our house party in Canton, right?
The riot.
Actually, that's going to be really cool because we won't have cameras and fucking scripts and stuff.
I'm gonna stream.
Well, we'll have cameras.
I was going to say, yeah,
we actually are going to have cameras. What am I talking?
I'm going to bring some GoPro cameras and everything. Yeah.
I promised our patrons. We were talking about this last night. They're gonna get a little of me singing some Justin Bieber.
Very
my
little.
God.
Yeah, because my mama don't like you and she likes everyone.
Well,
I don't like you.
well,
She likes everyone.
Oh my God. Well, my name's Michael Cipes. You can find me on Twitter at FFBlitz, and I'm here with my partners, Jeremy Browand.
You see, he says my name first because I'm his favorite partner, Shane. You can find me on Twitter at DFF_Madman.
And Shane Manila.
I am the sister wife, and you can find me at DFF_Shane, or just look up Data Don't Score Points.
Yeah.
I just want to get to the news. Might as well get to the news, brought to you by Rotosurance. If you think you have a good roster after you draft it and you don't want to lose the league and lose money just because someone got injured, go to Rotosurance. You can insure those players and get paid back if they miss a certain amount of games. Rotosurance.com. Use our code DynastyTradesHQ.
All in caps.
Yep. So apparently today, Kareem Hunt was the subject of a manhunt at one point.
It sure seemed that way.
According to Twitter.
Yeah, so
Fake news site.
apparently Kareem Hunt got into it with one of his friends at a bar, and no charges were filed. And according to ESPN, I read that report, no police report was even taken. So this is a literally nothing burger. Nothing's going to happen. I've dealt with police reports and things like that in my life a lot. So if there's not even a police report, this is basically nothing happened. He talked to a couple cops. I mean,
The other individual, his friend also known as Duke Johnson, running back for the Cleveland Browns.
If it was Duke, he would have fell down immediately. Like, oh, you hit me.
Oh my God. But you know what?
Yeah.
Even though there wasn't any police report or nothing officially is happening, it is still another little notch on the different things that this guy does wrong that gets him in trouble all the time.
He argued with his friends. I mean, I argue all the time with you guys.
A verbal fight, another chink in his armor, though. I mean, why is he going? Stay away from bars and other people drinking, dude. And
yeah, that's probably the bigger thing. Is just the he doesn't have the common sense to go, you know what? Like, let me at least get back on the field and get a payday before I start hitting the bar scene again. Like, did you?
Yeah. And that's what I was trying to say.
Just stay in your house.
Stay out of that stuff. If you want to play football, there's got to be other outlets. Go do them. You make millions of dollars. You're a pro football player. You're going to do that for a few years. Just wait till you're old like us, and then you can do whatever the hell you want. No one will even care if you get in trouble.
And he's on a new team too, in a new town.
He's only a third-round pick, so I don't know what his contract with the Browns looks like. Come to think of it, because that's right, he was cut. So at the end of the day, a year with an option.
Yeah.
So at the end of the day, Kareem Hunt was fun on Twitter for a little bit, and I actually didn't panic sell.
No, I was going to ask you. That's my next question. Did you sell him because you were so worried about it?
No, our buddy Russ Outhouse, Dynasty Outhouse, he tweeted at me that he was going to do a Shane and just panic sell his Kareem Hunt shares. And
I saw that, yeah.
All I thought about was like, dude, I've collected so much Kareem Hunt this offseason. No, I'm not doing it. Like, I don't even care. Like, nope.
Did you really? You got a whole bunch of them? A whole bunch of shares?
Yeah, because every time I got to like the 9th or the 10th round of a startup draft and he's sitting there, how do you pass that, I'd take Tyreek Hill if he was sitting there, and he's, got more of a chance of going to prison.
Right. And Hunt does have to prove himself. You're right with that deal, 1 year, $11 million contract, an average annual salary of 1.1 million. But his base salary, this is what I'm trying to get at really badly, is only $645,000. Roster bonus of $275K and a workout bonus of $55K. The Browns are like, yeah, we don't care what you do because, the cap hits $975,000. Please don't mess up, but if you do, no worries.
Yeah.
And he will mess up again, I'm sure.
So I thought that one other thing, I saw something on Roto World that I thought was funny because for the last 2 to 3 weeks, everyone's been got their thongs all tied up in bunches over the fact that James Conner is apparently going to be sharing the backfield with Jalen Samuels and Benny Snell. Right. And at one point, James Conner said something to the effect of like, yeah, that I'm sure I'm going to share the ball with other people. So everybody took that as further confirmation that the Pittsburgh was going to spread out the carries, like James Conner's calling the plays regardless of what he says. Like, so he says, yeah, I'm fine with sharing the ball. All of a sudden they're going to do it. But anyway, there's no fucking logic in that, people. Why are you taking what players say about play calling like it's going to matter at all? Unless it's quarterback. But anyway, today he came out and he said he expects his role to be similar to last season, which I do as well.
Sure. Expect it.
Because, I mean, he actually only touched the ball, I think, right around 80% or only had an 80% snap share last year, which is low for the Steelers because when Bell was there, he was 100% one year and I think 95 another. I didn't feel like going back any further, but it's roughly something like that.
I fully expect it to be the same this year. Why not? He did really well. I think he tired out toward the end of the season, but if they keep him on that 80% or whatever, and why not? He did well. They, of course, are going to use other backs. I mean, they have a coach in there now that is going to work with Jalen Samuels and try to get him involved. Of course, I mean, makes sense to have other backs and Snell probably as a backup, but Connor's going to be awesome, dude.
Yeah, and Jalen Samuels played well, but he played well because he was playing an H-back role. He wasn't playing a running back role. He was catching a lot of passes.
Yeah, and I think that'll continue. He did well in that role. But yeah, you can't have Connor on the field like Christian McCaffrey 92% of the time or whatever, at 1.95. I find that crazy to think of a running back on the field that much. It's great for fantasy, but unrealistic. I mean, that's so close to like every snap. That's insane. And
he's a good receiver, but he's not obviously Le'Veon Bell or Christian McCaffrey. So no way he's going to be out there on 98% of this, the snaps. But if he gets 80%, I'm not concerned. He looked like a running back one to me last year.
He's a value too. In a lot of the drafts, he slipped a little bit because if you're getting into drafts now, you can get him at a nice startup price and in best ball too, because people react to every single little thing that they hear. It's like the gossip, we call it the grapevine. The gossip mill gets churning.
It is funny. I mean, because there's nothing else really going on right now. So anytime a story comes out, everybody reacts to it right away. And everybody's got their startups going on and all their auctions and all that stuff. Speaking of rookies, we have a lot of guests tonight, too. You mentioned Benny Snell with them, too.
Benny Snell's on?
No, not Benny Snell, but we have a lot of guests tonight. But the first guest we were going to have though is Tony G from DFF, right, to talk to us about the 2019 Factory Rookie Guide, correct?
I believe so.
Awesome.
Yes, that is correct.
So
we're going to talk some rookies.
Yeah, we're going to talk some rookies. So we're going to get him on the phone, and we'll get him in here, and let's hear from the Scouting Academy first.
Scout NFL football like a pro. Invest in yourself and get a degree in player evaluation and assessment from the Scouting Academy. They've educated NFL GMs, personnel directors, and dozens of NFL scouts. Enroll today and you'll watch the same game tape NFL coaches watch. You'll learn to look past the metrics with position-by-position analysis. This is a time-tested curriculum, a chance to learn from the NFL execs and coaches. Sign up today and get a Dynasty Football Factory exclusive discount for a limited time only. Save $50 when you sign up at dynastyfootballfactory.com.
The Scouting Academy is awesome. And another little awesome tool we have, besides the Scouting Academy, if you go on the site and hit the link, get and save yourself $50 on the next class sessions, as they call them, or something. We also have Tony
Godinez
on today. He is, I don't want to say the author, so I'll say the boss man.
Director, yeah, you can say that.
Director of
the 2019 DFF Rookie Guide.
There you go. 2019 Factory Rookie Guide. On sale now. on the DFF website. You just go to the shop and you look up guides, and there it is. It's pretty. It's got Kyler Murray rearing back to let the ball go. N'Keal Harry making a nice catch, and TJ Hawkinson kind of looks like he's going to eat the football out of Kyler Murray's hand.
Oh my god! Why don't we let Tony tell us about the guide instead of describing the cover?
Well, the guide was a great project to be part of and lead my guys doing this. They all worked their butts off to get this done. And I mean, I feel it's a great blend of all the things that we do in football. The draft guys got their, evaluations of the prospects in there. Our fantasy guys, definitely we got to put that in there. So they have their projections of what we expect these guys to come out with. And then, the smart people, there's numbers in there. There's the analytics that our guy DFF Lucas worked hard on to get. And I think it really kind of sets off all the evaluation and everything we saw on tape. To see it in contextualized in numbers, it really sets it off with dominator rating, market shares, breakout age, that's in there. So it really, really kind of well-rounded guide for everyone out there.
Were there any players that you came across while doing this work that you decided you liked better than when you started out?
Well, Keyshawn Johnson is a late round guy. I mean, I think with having him going so late in drafts, I think it's a really good value. He was a huge producer, and you look at it and you say, oh, well, Fresno State, of course. But when you look at his tape, he plays way faster than what he was timed. There's defenses were way off him when he was at the line of scrimmage, and he would always get behind them. So he's just one of those guys that he just finds his way to get open. He was, hampered by quarterback play, I think a lot out there in Fresno, which is crazy because his numbers were great. I could just imagine what he would have been if he would have, had a little better quarterback play there. So I think he's going to set himself apart with the route running. His hands are great. I love his hands. So that's somebody I think that coming in to Cardinals camp right there is going to be somebody to watch. A very good value, trying to get him there late in drafts.
So is he going to be battling Hakeem Butler for the X receiver?
That's what I was wondering.
Yeah, I mean, he definitely could. I think Hakeem got, they love his size. I mean, that's definitely going to be a guy they're going to get there first. He's going to get first crack at that. But if Hakeem struggles, I can definitely see Keyshawn doing that, definitely stepping in and being a good enough receiver to step in there.
Yeah, and that's an interesting battle because it's not as crowded as the, I want to say, slot undersized receiver battle between Christian Clark and Andy Isabella.
Right.
So yeah, that'll be an interesting one to watch. So Keyshawn Johnson, is there anyone conversely that you thought you liked better than you did before you started digging into the guide, or preparing the guide, I should say?
Yeah.
Like them less after all your research.
Yeah. I mean, definitely you look at it and I mean, I liked Andy Isabella a lot. And then watching his tape, I kind of, cooled on him. I think he's going to be solid. He's going to be a solid wide receiver, just not as somebody that you're going to depend on to really run your team. I think he's definitely going to give production, but I was expecting him to just blow me out the water, and he was good, but just not that great level player.
I feel you on that guy. I like him a lot. Even going back to his track days, but and the speed, and he can get off the line, and that shouldn't be an issue for him as a slot receiver. But yeah, I don't have him as high on my list as I've seen in some rankings. Now I have other players ahead of him because I just think they're going to have a better shot at it in the pros. I mean, I wish him all the best, but I definitely am not as high on him as I was early on too. It's interesting. Definitely. What's your favorite team, Tony? Is it the Cardinals?
Bears. I'm a Chicago guy.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Totally whiffed on that.
What are your thoughts on Montgomery? And did the guide like Montgomery?
Oh, God.
Did the guide like him?
You're going to get me killed by Bears fans. But, I mean, personally, I'm not – I wouldn't say huge on Montgomery. I like him. I think he's a good player. I think he's a solid player. Is he the answer. I wouldn't say he's an answer to anything. I think he's a piece. He's definitely a piece, and he's going to be a solid contributor, solid player. But he's not going to be, that back that you're going to depend on 100%. I just don't. I have a lot of concerns about him. Everybody talks about his breaking tackle as a positive. I see it a little different kind of light there. Can he do that same thing in the pros? Take all those hits, break all those tackles. It's not a 1-to-1 translation there. He's gonna get hit, and these guys are bigger, stronger, tackle way better. I mean, if tackling in the NFL is poor, what do we think college is? These guys are just throwing themselves at him without wrapping up, without doing anything technical. So that's my biggest concerns. I think he's just a slightly better at his agility than people are thinking, but I don't think it's going to be something that's going to set him apart, where he's going to be your depend on him as an RB1. Now that differs from my guy DynastyFF Kyle. He did the report on him, and he loves him. I think I'm okay with him. Not love him, don't hate him. I think he's okay. He's
I like him too, but it's easier to call someone a 3-down back and then hope that they get there, but it's not easy for a running back to become a 3-down back in the NFL. Everybody's already writing off Tariq Cohen his season last year, saying that we can't expect that this year. I just like with we were talking about James Conner earlier. I don't think Cohen's role is going to change much. I think you can still rely on him in fantasy. They're just those guys aren't just going to go away because there are new players on the team. I mean, they have a role. We don't know what David Montgomery is yet to get excited and just write off Tariq Cohen's season.
Right.
I'm gonna write it off.
Are you? You need to, man. I don't
want running backs that can only do one thing. That's just, I need a player. For me, I want a player that can do more than one thing well.
Which one are you talking about?
Tariq Cohen.
Oh, dude,
all he is a receiver.
Just think of him as a slot receiver and then draft him where he's going. It's valuable.
If he was good enough to be a receiver, he would have been a receiver.
But you drafted him at the running back slot. I don't have all night to explain this to you.
Oh my God! So Tony, for our listeners out there that haven't bought the guide, how many rookies do you have on the guide? How big is the guide? Like how much information are they going to get if they come over to the site Dynasty Football Factory and buy the 2019 rookie guide?
In total, I want to say there was 102 total prospects covered. Of that, I think there was 33 undrafted free agents.
Oh wow!
So you're not going to get just the the cool, sexy guys that everybody's talking about. No, we went deep. I mean, 32 or 33 undrafted free agents that from the offensive skill positions that you're going to get in there. So we're digging deep. We're digging deep, trying to get guys those diamonds in the rough that definitely are. We know that help you win Dynasty. I mean, everybody hits home runs on their big picks, but it's those little guys that nobody knows about that'll definitely give you that extra edge.
That's awesome. How many people, you mentioned Kyle, how many people worked on this guide from DFF?
I believe there's a total of 7 off the top of my head, I'm thinking right now. So we had DFF Kyle, we had Kane, DFF Kane, it was on there. We had AJ Draft Scout, DFF Blizzard was on there. Of course, our great analytics guy, Lucas McLean, DFF Lucas was on there. We also had Caddy Salama, Matt Williams. He helped us out on this guide as well. So Nick Farball was a big addition from last year because we did the small school rookie guide last year, and a lot of the teams stayed together. But we added Nick Farball at Farball Football, Farball FB, I should say, on Twitter. He definitely was a big contributor here this year too. So total of 8 guys we're working on this.
Good stuff, man.
Yeah. Well, Shane's promoted, we talked about the website now going behind the paywall, being a membership site, and you get the guide when you do the membership. If there's a certain price, or you can buy it separately, correct?
Yes. Yeah.
So
you definitely.
You could go ahead and buy the guide itself for $10, or spend $29.99 and you get that rookie guide as well as the IDP rookie guide
Yes.
And a year membership to Dynasty Football Factory. You become a member. So that's definitely something. If you're going to spend the $10 on the guide, which you should do, just shout out the other extra $19, get a full year of Dynasty Football Factory and get an IDP guide. I don't like IDP, but some people do.
But whether you like it or not, there are listeners out there that do like it. So
Big value.
Nice work on that. Yeah, nice work on that guide, Tony G.
Yeah, great.
I know that's a ton of work, man. Great work.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Absolutely. And thanks for coming on and telling everybody about it. And before we get to our next guest, we are going to talk about the website. So thanks for coming on and good luck with your guide.
Thanks, guys. Have a good one. Appreciate it.
Talk soon, buddy.
Yeah. So Shane, you want to elaborate a little bit more about the site?
Yeah. So, I mean, we're behind a paywall. That's the bad word to a lot of folks because everybody wants everything for free. But, unfortunately, it's, we want to pay our writers and things like that and put back into the site. And so that's what we did. Went behind a paywall. It's going well so far. We actually just launched our Factory Sports conveyor belt, our Slack community.
Awesome.
Got that jumping this week or last week, actually, because it's only Monday. And even I'm learning, I'm used to Twitter and Facebook and GroupMe, the old men stuff, but I'm getting used to the Slack. I like it. We got different channels in there, obviously, for Dynasty, Redraft, IDP, DFS, basically everything that we cover on the site. Like I said, you can get the subscription for a year for $29.99. That's actually less than $30. You see that? $29.99, and you get both guides. If you don't want the guides, that's fine. Go ahead and spend $19.99. You get a year. Like I said, you get our Dynasty Redraft, our IDP,
that's loud.
Devy, college football, and DFS coverage. Or if you just want to give us a taste, you just want to try us out a little nibble, go ahead and do $4.99 a month. And then you can taste us for a month, and then you'll want to become a full member for a year, and then you'll be like, oh, why didn't I just do that first? So go sign up today and become a member.
Because they spent an extra $5. Yeah, and that person that said, gosh, that's really loud, it looks like one of our guests just popped in, Bob. Hey, Bob.
Sorry, man. I didn't know you're live.
I got a message.
Couldn't you tell from all that energy that Shane brings that makes you want to run out there and buy a fucking guide that it's live?
I don't even know what you're selling for $4.99, and I was buying it.
Well, that was pretty funny. But yeah, we were going to lead into our guests. We have Bob, and we also have Tom Burroughs. But is Tom there yet? Oh, wait, and Tom just popped in too.
There it is.
All right,
hey guys.
Tom, Bob, Tom.
Oh, they don't know each other?
Yeah.
Everybody else wore glasses. What happened?
Oh yeah, Jeremy. Well, come on.
Yeah, Jeremy, come on, put some glasses on.
Put some glasses on. There you go. All right, now I feel better. Now we're all okay. Now we're all.
Normally I wear them, man.
Oh my
6
gosh.
people and 87 pairs of eyes. All right, Blitz, do your thing.
Yeah, well, now both of our guests are here. So we have Bob Lung.
Tom Burroughs. Bob Lung. Meet Tom Burroughs. Tom Burroughs, Bob Lung. Tom works at DFF, working on a rookie guide. I'm sorry, not a rookie guide.
Go ahead,
all.
Jeremy.
Redraft fantasy guide, factory guide. Just introducing these two guys. So meet each other. Tom's great. Bob, consistency guide. All right, let's go.
Oh my God.
Yeah, we're done.
Welcome, guys. And Bob also has something to do with our MidWestFFExpo that we're going to, correct?
Oh, thank you. Yes. So 2019 Fantasy Football, Midwest Fantasy Football Expo coming to Canton, Ohio, Sunday, August 18th, noon to 6. Those boys will be here. I will be there. Tom, will you be there?
I will not be there.
Okay.
Awkward.
Awkward, yeah. People who live on the left coast up there in Oregon and Washington.
Okay. All right, that's fine.
Give them a
Yeah,
pass.
it's funny. A lot of people are going. Tim Torch was just tweeting at us about touching us.
He was talking about giving us a group hug.
Yeah, he's going to be there. We're going to have. I know Dynasty Outhouse is going to come by. I know the Ball Blastum girls are going to be there.
Oh, awesome!
Yep, I just actually DMing with Kate because I just found out they live in Pittsburgh. They're gonna help me with my Pittsburgh connections and spreading the word in Pittsburgh because it's only 2.5 hours from Canton, so it's good. good spot for them to come up. So they're going to make their media connections and help me spread the word in the Pittsburgh area. So that's cool.
Awesome. Yeah, and then we're going to have a house party at a B&B, so you'll have to come to that.
The Right House. The Right House.
The one that I booked in my name. Thanks, guys.
Yeah, the one that
he doesn't listen to this.
No, but it's awesome that it's and it's in Jeremy's name, so we can all do whatever we want. But so we decided to have Bob and Tom on tonight to talk about startup draft strategies.
Quick, let's plug Bob before he'll do it at the end of the show and during. But Bob's Consistency Guide is out right now, if you're unaware. Top selling fantasy football magazine. Bob's team puts a ton of work on that. Bob, tell the people about the Consistency Guide.
All right.
Yeah, you won an award, man. Tell everybody.
Yeah. So the Fantasy Football Consistency Guide, it's in its third year. Was nominated 2 years ago, 2017, for his best publication, fantasy football publication by Fantasy Sports Writers of America, and then was nominated again in 2018 and won the award last year for best of the year. So that was an amazing honor to me to even get to that point, because I put it out because I wanted to share this information and share the love with everybody out there. The fact that it winning awards is just it really is amazing to me, because I never went into that doing that, but it's 2019 version is out, selling well as always. A lot of people sharing it. I try to give it away to folks who follow, and just again trying to get it in people's hands. I give away a lot of free copies because I want people to read it. And, and it's not like people are like, oh, you're giving away money. And I'm like, no, I'm not. I'm giving away this information so that people can see here's a cool new way of learning about fantasy football that you may have not have heard of before, or may have not have understood it before. And, and then hopefully next year, then they'll buy it outright at Amazon themselves. So it's just really getting it out there and sharing that information. I've really enjoyed doing it, and like I said, I won an award, and really happy about that.
Congrats, man! That's awesome.
And Bob, I got to say, I've actually I have taken some things that I've learned from you, fantasy football wise, but also marketing wise. I know when Tom and I finished this redraft guide with the other guys we're working on, we're going to end up giving a ton away under the same thinking. Like it's good work, it's great work, and you don't buy it this year. Well, maybe you weren't going to anyway, but you'll get to see it now, and next year, hopefully, you'll become a customer. And yeah, Bob gives out a ton of those consistency guys. I was in his eliminator last year, FC eliminator. He gave it to everyone in there.
Did it well again this year. Got all of 16, gave them all a copy, and I give a ton of copies to Scott Fish to give away for the Fish Bowl.
Just for following Bob.
Yeah, just for following me.
You go get Bob on a podcast if you don't want to pay for it, and you have a podcast. Get Bob on there.
Right, I give it to you for free. Anybody named Jeremy, it's just on and on.
Anyone named Jeremy, that's awesome, dude. Your clutch factor is high because of you giving out all these guys.
I was just gonna say it's a good thing he didn't say anybody named Michael, because there's way too many more
Not
of us.
Everyone.
Yeah,
there's too many Michaels.
There's too many Michaels, exactly.
There's too many Michaels. Stick with uncommon names like Jeremy.
You can just hand them out at the door of the MidWestFFExpo.
There you go. Yeah,
well, that probably will happen as well. Yeah, they'll definitely be there. Whether it's giveaways, selling, a little bit of both, maybe. We're definitely going to have raffles during the thing. I mean, now that I pretty much have it sold out, the goal is to start then reaching out to all of the vendors and saying, okay, guys, now what do you want? We're gonna have a swag bag, which everybody's going to put in, whether it's a coupon or free guides or $10 off your guide. Because I want people that if they're going to pay, $15, $20 to walk in the door, I want them to walk out of there, not with fantasy knowledge they gained from the day, but hundreds of dollars worth of free coupon stuff that they can buy the people's stuff that they're selling there or have online or podcast or whatever the case may be. But I want people to feel like, hey, it was well worth the money, not only to be there, but also from the value that they get in the swag bag. And, the guides will be in it, or coupons for the guys, or whatever the case may be, whatever you guys want to do with your guides. So definitely is going to be a thing that we'll be promoting.
Bob, this swag bag that you're handing out, that goes to anyone, correct, that buys tickets to this event, right?
Right. Every person who walks in that door is getting a swag bag. We'll probably be giving away tickets to that as well. Just, I'm already reaching out to local radio stations to, give free tickets that they can give away on the air and promote it. So yeah, we're definitely going to, we're going to get people in the door, and we're going to give them a reason that this becomes an annual event.
What's the website that people can visit to get tickets and check it out?
MidWestFF Fantasy Football FFExpo.com. And if you use the code Big Guy, or you guys have a code as well, I think it's DynastyTHQ.
Trades HQ, yeah.
Trades HQ. Either one of those, but use theirs because then they get some value out of it. It saves you $5 on your admission. Like I said, I'm getting the T-shirts printed here, or not printed, but I'm going to get the design put on, a PDF so that we can actually promote the T-shirts, so that you can sell them. We'll get you guys some T-shirts as well. So yeah, this is going to be something that's going to be worthwhile to people, not only for exhibitors and people like you and me, to promote our knowledge and our value to people out there. But also to make this something that we can build on and, make it bigger, better every year, so that in a couple of years we'll move next door to the Civic Center where, we can have 5,000 people in there.
Awesome. Yeah, we're excited to go to this thing, and we have a booth, as you just said. And yeah, man, we're all stoked. These guys are coming in from Miami, Florida, Philadelphia, PA, right, Shane? And I'm driving up from Columbus. It's funny that you said that people are coming from Pittsburgh. It's only 2.5 hours away. Hell, it's 2 hours away from me in Columbus. Right. So I mean, that's an easy drive. Right. Well, I actually have a site called, I think it's pickdraft.com. They're a new daily game, that kind of stuff. They're flying in from San Jose to be at this. Wow, that's awesome. Yeah, so they're really excited about it. So I'm really excited they're coming because I didn't know they were flying in. But yeah, so all right, you guys should talk to Tom. He looks very
yeah. Let's. So Tom. I'm just going to give Tom an introduction, and I've given Bob introductions before, and they've been glowing.
Yeah.
No, look, I don't
this will be in stark contrast, I'm sure.
Hey, we had Tom last week. Tom was on the show last week.
We didn't give
Tom.
We didn't give him any real. So Tom's a great writer. Tom's, I think from the very first article he sent, I was like, oh, I love him. And then we got the DM a lot, and then Tom's one of the sharpest people in the industry. I'll tell you that right now. So if you're not following Tom, you need to go follow him. I don't know his handle because I already follow him, but he can tell you it. He's a writer for DFF. He's a writer for DLF. He's a writer for Fantasy Evaluator. He's been my backbone on this redraft guide that we're working on. And like I said, one of the smartest dudes in the industry and definitely one of the best writers. So Tom, tell the people your handle.
Yeah, thank you for that. It's FF_Tom B.
That's very hard. See, that's why I cut.
Tough to remember, yeah.
Or FF_Tomb, as I learned once people started not capitalizing the B.
Oh.
That's morbid.
Oh, that's bad.
And Tom tweeted out last week that he got to make his very first podcast appearance on our show last week for the mock we did.
That's right.
He's a natural.
All right.
So we were going to have them on.
Everyone.
It's a good thing I stepped over whatever it is you just said.
Fellatiating.
What?
Even though you just said it, I'm still going to have to bleep it out. So
remember those old commercials? Crack kills. Shane should have listened, man.
Oh my God.
We're going to talk about.
Is that like the Kmart commercials where I just shipped my drawers?
Oh my God. Something happened here. I'm not sure what's going on, but yeah, we were going to talk about startup draft strategies, correct, Jeremy?
Draft strategy.
Yeah, Jeremy had this all planned out, so go ahead.
Whatever you guys want to talk about, let's go.
You know what, though? Actually, I did have I don't care. This could stay on it or not. Bob, so I saw an interesting tweet today, literally 5 minutes before we went on with friend of the show. Oh, God, that sounds stupid. Buddy of ours, Jordan McNamara.
When you texted, it doesn't sound so bad.
I just answered him.
Oh, well then shit.
Oh, you did. Now you don't need to ask the question. Just quote this. No.
Okay.
Yeah. So basically, the guy asked the question was, is there anything that shows how consistency can help improve your record in fantasy football. And I actually have an article on the website, and it's literally called "Improving Your Record with Consistency." And so it's an exercise that I tell people that they can do anytime, any year in their league. And you basically just take the league you're playing in, do the following: list each team's actual record and their team's average points per game. Now take your team first and use the average weekly score and replace it in each week of your games. So if you averaged 120 points a week, okay, put 120 in every week again in your games, because that will tell you if you were. Now, granted, if you're below the league average, this is not going to work because you're consistently bad, and that doesn't work.
Yeah, no.
But if your team is above the league average weekly score, then what you'll see is that you'll see an increase of 1, 2, maybe even 3 games, depending on how high it was and how inconsistent you were. So if you put in 120 every week, your record will either remain the same or it should go up. It shouldn't go down. And what that'll show is if you were consistent and you scored that 120 points every week, how many more games you would have won, how it would have improved your record, and would it have made the difference of you making the playoffs or not. The higher you're above the average, the better chance you have of probably adding more wins to your total. Because if you're really inconsistent and your average is, say, 130 points a week and the league average was 115, but you were 7-7, you probably, if you would have scored 130 every week, you probably would add 2 or 3 more wins. And that's what that article shows you and how you can put that in play. But again, you have to be your team average still has to be over the league average, because if you're not, then if you're not above the league average in the top, if you're not in the top 6, you're probably not going to help. You're not going to help yourself with consistency because you were bad.
Yeah, you still have a losing team.
So, Bob, how would you translate that data and that information to recommendations for roster construction?
Well, so what I recommend when I do roster construction is to look at the guide and then try to build your core starters, your 2 running backs, 3 receivers, tight end, quarterback, and get those guys in the first 7 rounds and make sure that all of them have shown some consistency of at least 65% or higher. Obviously, first round guys are going to be 80, 90, and then by each round, you're going to get less and less consistent guys. But if you can build a core of consistency, and then you don't have to, then you can take chances outside of that core. You can go after some rookies. You can go after a guy maybe like a Deshaun Jackson who has some highs and lows and stuff like that. So that's what I always that's my draft strategy is building that consistent core. And when you look at the tier draft list, which is at the back of the magazine, and I update throughout the season, that's kind of my ranking sheets, but there's also a little draft advisor in the corner that tells people, draft a wide receiver or running back 1A here, draft and then by building that core, I say, get those 7 core starters by the end of the 7th round, which also means that I'm telling people, don't do I'm going to grab 4 running backs in the first 5 rounds, because then you lose that core. Now you've got to get somebody in the 9th round as your starting quarterback that may or may not be consistent because you waited too long. So it's a boring way of doing it. A lot of people like to take chances and do this and do that, but more often than not, that's usually what burns you too, and that's where the inconsistency comes in.
Bob, one of the things we talked about like last month and the month before with some of these startups, even in the one that Jeremy and I were doing, we did a lot of trades to trade up, and we got a lot of the higher players because we traded away picks. So by like the 5th round, we already had like 6 players or 7 players.
Cool. Yeah, that's super.
So I was going to say, would that fit into you with your consistency, like getting those core players and trading away? So then you have that gap in the middle before you get some other players though.
Right. I mean, it still comes down to drafting consistent players. I mean, you can have 6 picks and 6, 7 picks in the first 5 rounds, but if you're still drafting Drew Brees, who is 47% consistent last year, you're still not helping yourself. The key is by using the guide, you can identify some mid those 7th through 10th round guys that you can get 65-70% consistency out of that people aren't aware of because maybe they didn't play all 16 games. I think of guys like OJ Howard. Well, he's not going that late. A Delaney Walker, who is going in the 7th through 10th round because, he's hurt last year. Well, just 2 years ago, he was in that 65 to 75% consistency range as tight end and should return to that if he's healthy. That's a value that you can add that core consistency in those mid rounds without having to take maybe Evan Ingram in round 4 or 5 to get that same consistency rating. So that's kind of what I look at.
And I think that, there's a real balance because I'm starting to think of trying to apply this to dynasty startups. And especially if you're doing dynasty startups with people who are really into it or in the industry, rookies go much earlier than I ever expect.
Yeah.
The young up and coming players are always off the board. I was just in one, and essentially by the 100th pick, there were all of the 4th round rookies were going off the board.
Yeah, right.
It really is that push and pull between, am I creating a team that's going to be winning now, in which case you want to go towards those more consistent options, which we'd say usually are probably a little bit older or a little bit more established within the league, or are you going to take those risks in order to keep your team younger? And I find myself, I tend to go with the more consistent veterans just because I'm not willing to take those young players at the point in which other people in the draft seem to be willing to take them.
Well, that's how I look at it too.
Right.
What you just said, Tom, that's what I've been doing since last year when we talked to Bob and we got this guide, is looking at the players that are most consistent. Some real trends that you can use in your startup drafts for dynasty leagues. I just applied this to those because I go with I don't tend to go with like the younger players in startups. Definitely draft rookies, of course, and not always trade those picks away, but looking at, and I know Mike does the same thing too, going with core players like Bob was just talking about to build your startup so that you have a stronger base, because most of these guys in 2 years, we'll recoup our rookie picks that we may have traded away this year anyways. In 2020, 2021, there's always rookie picks. So you kind of punt that away and go for the consistent players now and have a good base to build your dynasty from. And I think there's a lot of translation with this. And I want to know what, like you just asked Bob, I want to know what he thinks too. But I had to jump in and say that because last year, Bob, remember, Shane and I were all over this.
Right.
With how
you guys were you're gonna add something to my guide this year of dynasty consistency. I was just saying it was a rumor. It was floating around the internet.
Shane doesn't give us any time to do anything.
I just do as I'm told. Like, honestly, people DM me and they're like, "Hey, can you do this?" And I'm like, "All right." So
that is.
But I'm in total support of everything you guys have just said. I don't play hardly in any dynasty leagues, so I'm not as familiar with how the draft flow goes. But I could see how the value of using consistency and going after those second, third, and fourth year players that are starting to build on their consistency. I'm just looking at the wide receivers. Like I'm looking at guys like Tyler Boyd, Curtis Samuel, Cortland Sutton, D.D. Westbrook, Kiki QT, those kind of guys that are, young enough they can be helpful in a long term, but they haven't made that push, but they've showed some consistency at times. It's just a question of when and where, and can they take that next step? I look at them in redrafts because I can get them late because they don't go as high in a regular redraft versus a dynasty draft. But those are the kind of guys I love to grab because they've shown something. Or I also look in the consistency guide for each profile. There's the clutch games per week. So if you catch a youngster who maybe went 4 for 5 the last 5 games of the year, that's always a nice way of kind of showing that they're ready to take that next step. I mean, that's how I identified George Kittle last year. Was the year before that, he was 3 for 4 his last 4 games, and it looked like he was becoming kind of a breakout guy for San Francisco. So, that's the kind of stuff I look for, and I think that's a great way of looking at a dynasty scenario, but implementing the consistency scenario in place.
Well, it's funny what Tom was saying about the rookies. We spent a lot of months saying how this is a lesser rookie class than we've had in a while. But it is true, Tom, what you're saying. In all these startups, I don't know if people forgot or people just don't want to think about it that way, but you're right. All these rookies that we didn't really care too much about a couple months ago go so high in these startup drafts for Dynasty, where what Bob said, I would much rather get some of the guys now and then next year try to trade or do something for the second year, third year guys that haven't produced yet that may start to produce. But right now, even Shane, when we were doing that other draft, it's like every time, even in the first couple of rounds, every time people are like grabbing rookies already, and it's kind of ridiculous.
Yes, that is ridiculous. Look, I mean, I'm not gonna bag on anybody for grabbing rookies because I've had startup drafts where it's just kind of swung that way, where I'm like, all right, well, I keep missing out on the player that I want because I can't get up there. So, I can take this rookie here. He's going to hold value at least for a season, because even after a bad season, most people are ready to forgive that rookie and find out, well, this is why he didn't play well. And if it's a rookie wide receiver, they're going to hold their value because you don't expect them to play well.
I think
outside of outliers.
Yeah, and I think I was talking about more this year specific, like we talked about. Yeah, Jeremy just said, yeah. I mean, we've talked about it before. Some of these rookies in the other years, yeah, I guess. But this year, people kind of forgot everything that we've been talking about, and they're going so high.
There's been much worse classes than this year, though.
Do you think so?
You look at the Zeke year, the Zeke and Traquan, Jesus Christ, I can't even get his name right anymore. Laquan Treadwell.
And that
was a terrible.
He was the 102.
But
like Will Fuller came out of that draft and Michael Thomas did, but nobody that I know of had either of those players ranked that highly. It was Zeke, Treadwell, Tyler Boyd, who took 3 years to break out.
Yeah, and like 3 months ago, back in February, March, we were saying that this is the same kind of class as that class was. That's what people were saying back then. I mean, we don't know. We won't know till next year whether any of these guys were any good. But
so you don't like rookies in startup drafts, Bob,
this year?
Because there's not a lot of consistency there. But he did mention a player that I do like.
Yeah, which one?
Kiki Kuti, Curtis Samuel. Another guy I like is Albert Wilson.
Yes.
If he could just stay on the field. I didn't get a chance to look, Bob.
He's still in Miami?
Yes, he is.
Yeah.
He's still in Miami.
Yeah, some reports came out that he may not be ready for training camp, although they thought they were before.
Yeah, I saw that. But I also saw a report today that Emmanuel Sanders is going to be ready for week 1. So it's all smoke and mirrors until at least.
Well, there's been videos Samuel's running and he looks, running and cutting. So he looks at this point pretty strong, which is amazing because most people don't come back that fast from Achilles. Achilles is a tough one.
But yeah.
I feel like everybody's forgetting about Kenny Stills down there.
Yeah.
With that quarterback throwing to Kenny Stills, oh my God.
Well, just to what Bob was talking about, that to his point, or his general overall thesis, Kenny Stills isn't consistent though.
No, he's not. But it's the role that he plays too.
I get that.
He's a best ball guy.
Yeah,
he wanted best ball for those big games. Deshaun Jackson, yeah.
Is there anybody down here in Miami that are consistent?
Deshaun Jackson stratosphere.
No.
Deshaun Jackson.
Well, with Ryan Fitzpatrick, I'm saying he could be. I mean, there's not really an argument here. I'm saying people are overlooking his possibilities as a big play wide receiver there. I mean, where he's drafted, it's really low. It's crazy.
How confident are we going to be at Fitzpatrick over Rosen?
Exactly.
Well, I mean, how confident are you in Rosen? That's your answer. I mean, it's going to be Fitzpatrick
for how long? We've seen Fitzpatrick as a starter. He'll throw.
Yeah. I mean, for fantasy football, though.
Well, but I'm saying he's going to lose that job. It's what he does.
Eventually, yeah. But to Rosen is the question. I don't know.
Yes.
Well, they brought Fitzpatrick in. They brought Fitzpatrick in to lose as many games as possible this year so that they can have the number 1 overall pick.
Yeah,
and then they traded for somebody who may be better at that than he is.
Yeah, we're tanking for Tua down here in Miami.
But the fantasy points are going to be there because Fitzpatrick throws that football, baby.
Well, I agree with Shane, though. I hope it is Albert Wilson because I have him in like 80% of my teams.
Yeah. I know a lot of people are counting on him.
I hope not.
Oh. You don't like him?
No, I'm just saying. Well, again, I don't play in Dynasty. It's a whole different world. I get it. I'm like, I haven't seen Kenny Stills or Albert Wilson drafted any draft I've done so far. So
I do all. So then that's right. Yeah, he definitely is redraft then.
Yeah.
You need to get in some redraft mocks with me, man. I'm taking Albert Wilson at the end of the draft.
Yeah.
Well,
I
I know
Albert Wilson go, and I go, oh, that must be Shane.
Shane.
And it's funny, I know, Shane, you did a trade this week to get Albert Wilson. So we did have a couple trades that we were going to talk about with the guys tonight, didn't we?
We did? Yeah, I don't know. I just accidentally closed the show sheet. So I'm going to take your word on that. There's definitely a couple trades.
Yeah, we had a couple trade alerts on here that, actually it would be interesting to hear what Tom has to say. Not that it wouldn't be for Bob, but Bob would be more in a redraft. But I know you had a couple trades on here that you wanted to go over.
Let me bring it up. This is not a smooth. Oh, here's a guy.
And what the hell are you shutting the show sheet for in the first place?
I'm doing stuff. I'm editing. I'm ranking. What's going on?
Now you're kissing your kid.
Hey, look. All right, so
You're reviewing my projections.
Yeah, there you go.
Look, I had to look at projections today. Look, I'm not gonna lie to you, my eyes are burning. Like all I've been doing for it feels like last month is either editing, writing, or working on a draft guide, looking up stats.
Oh my gosh!
I'm not smart enough to know how to use Excel correctly, so I have to like manually do stuff. Like I got my abacus out. I'm like,
you know what would be good? Why don't we do these trade alerts, and actually we'll get Tom's opinion in a dynasty point of view, and we'll get Bob's opinion in a redraft point of view, because there are people that listen to the show that are redraft, more than dynasties. So.
One of these can't be a redraft.
A lot of fantasy guys go both ways. It's not a big deal.
Yeah, there you go.
Hey, I go both ways. All right, trade alert.
Okay, which one are you going to start with?
Well, I like this one because it's got a bunch of old guys on one side and younger folk on the other, and I feel like there's some consistency stuff that can be I can't think of a word, so whatever.
Addressed.
Sounds like our show every week.
Yeah, basically. I don't do English good. So on one side we got Jarvis Landry and Delaney Walker. On the other side, we've got ourselves Andy Isabella, Chase Edmonds, 2023rd, and a 2024th. Dynasty guy.
What's the format?
Superflex, of course. Tight end premium. I think it's 1.5 points. It's either 1.5 or 1.75. I forget. We'll assume 1.5. I could look up the league. I mean,
you could just say anything. Really, do that. It works.
It's amazing how down people are on Landry. I think I'd probably take the Landry side. I mean, he's not that old, and his game is probably going to translate fairly well as he continues to age. So I don't think, I think that he can continue to be a contributor there. And so I think with the contract, correct me if I'm wrong, that his contract after this year pretty much has no money owed to the team. So it's possible that he gets cut, which normally isn't great to have that happen, but he's still going to command a high contract somewhere and can step into potentially a better role or a higher target share. And so, I don't know. I mean, Chase Edmonds, hoping on an injury, right? I mean, he's not going to carve out a role there, and you're waiting for his rookie contract to be up and go somewhere, which is, I don't know, not a great strategy in my opinion. And then Andy Isabella. I mean, this kind of goes back to what we were talking about with rookies. Do you want to take on the risk of somebody coming in and have a situation that's completely unknown there in Arizona with a player that we don't know whether or not he's going to be established? And then the picks, 3rd and 4th round. I don't know. I'm taking the established player. I'm taking Landry. And Walker is a nice bonus. Premium.
It is 1.75 PPR for tight ends.
Wow.
That wouldn't be a point per reception.
Yeah.
That would be I got to be honest, this is the second startup I've done this year that's a 1.75 per tight end reception.
Really?
That is statistically almost mattering.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wait, am I in one that's a 2.1? Yeah, I'm in another one that's a 2-point PPR for, well, that's not point P. It's a it's a TPR for tight ends in another one. So apparently I'm in the leads with just tight end aficionados. What's the word I'm looking for?
They must have read my article.
Yeah. Somebody last week during our mock mentioned that all that really does is make the top tier tight ends worth more, and then the rest of the guys are still kind of there.
Not when it's 1.75 or 2 points. I mean, you're in a whole other stratosphere at that point.
Well,
yeah, I mean, just think about it. Like, okay, OJ Howard doesn't get a lot of receptions. He's building his shit off of yards per reception, 16 yards a catch or whatever. So maybe he gets 50 receptions. Well, basically, he has 100 receptions.
That's crazy.
Compared to a wide receiver that even the wide receivers getting 1 or 1.25 or whatever. But anyway,
well, I would definitely go with the Jarvis Landry, Delaney Walker side too. Tom.
Yeah,
we don't care
the
about
side that matters now.
You just said it doesn't matter what I think.
No.
The only side that matters, though. But what's the other trade, Shane?
Oh, Bob. Well, I guess that.
Oh yeah.
Wait, no, we didn't hear Bob. Yeah.
Oh, Bob.
Jeez, Jeremy. Jesus.
Obviously,
Well, Shane just kept talking. I thought we were done.
That's because you were like.
Redraft is not going to happen because you don't usually trade draft picks. I guess you could, but it's usually not a redraft. But
which side do you like?
And you're probably not looking at Andy or Chase in redraft.
Yeah, I mean, I'm a big Landry fan. I always have been. He's always been one of the most consistent wide receivers in the league. My thought is, while his contract will be up at the end of 19, I think if the Browns go far but don't win the Super Bowl, let's say they get to the playoffs, lose the championship game, I see Landry re-signing to stay with OBJ so that they can win a title. He might even take a pay cut. Maybe they both will, just to make him get under the cap and because they're best friends. I mean, this is the whole reason he came there. I can't imagine he'll come there and 1 year later Landry jumps ship.
Plus, you have a healthy competition between the two as well. Like,
Right,
I mean, obviously not competing because they're Antonio Brown and Juju Smith-Schuster, and Antonio Brown can't handle it. They like each other, want to play together. And I thought of this as soon as that happened. I'm like, this is going to be one of the best healthy competitions at wide receiver and a good thing for the Browns. Which side was yours, Shane, of that trade?
The Landry side.
You got Landry?
Yeah. I'm like Tom. I've been digging in with a lot of research this summer, and I mean, yeah, yes, Odell's going to get his 190 targets or whatever when he actually plays, if he plays all 16 games. But that's still going to leave plenty of targets for Landry. And I mean, Odell's going to help Landry be what he is, which is an extension of the run game, and they're going to use him properly this year. They tried using him.
He should do better.
Yeah, they tried to use him as more of a deeper threat last year, as opposed to the rest of his career, not just an outright one.
Right.
And that's just not his role. That's not what he's good at. So they're going to do what they do: get him a 3-yard reception and let him, pick up some yak.
But I can also see a lot of trick plays. Landry can throw the ball deep. Odell can throw the ball deep. I bet you there'll be at least 5 or 6 touchdowns between the two of them that they're passing to each other during the year. Just because they love doing it. They're both known for doing it, and them throwing to each other, I think I don't even be surprised if they do it in the first game.
So Shane, you had another trade here that had Dalvin Cook.
Yeah. So this is a trade that was it took weeks to consummate. It took longer than some of my relationships.
God.
Going back and forth. We thought it was over. Then he came back to me, and then I went back to him, and finally we pulled it off last week during the show. So then I went outside and smoked a cigarette afterwards because, it was satisfying.
That's what you do.
Yeah. So on the one side, and Bob, this is very dynasty.
Okay.
Yeah, I was going to say.
Yeah, this is like beyond dynasty. So on the one side, we have Kiki Kuti, 221. No, excuse me. Kiki Kuti, 2 2021 firsts.
Wow.
And a 2021 second. And I did have to enunciate like that because otherwise it all blends together for Dalvin Cook.
So you gave Dalvin Cook for those pieces?
I mean, what's the format again? Is it just super flex?
Every league I'm in, just about a super
12
flex.
team super flex.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is super flex, and it's a PPC league. Let me look.
Full point per carry or per percentage?
No, it's like 1.25. I think I'm going to look that up right
Really?
now.
Is the team that sold Cook rebuilding?
I don't. Yeah, he's completely rebuilding.
Well, I know my answer easily.
They are the person that sold them.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
Wait,
the person that sold them.
Sold Cook. They got the
sold Cook. Well, when you said sold them, it sounds like it's a bundle of stuff.
Scoring, not in settings. It would be.
I just realized why I like this podcast so much. It reminds me of Christmas when all my relatives get together, and you're just like so annoyed by like all the things that go on, but you love everyone, so you just put up with it.
Or you pretend to love you pretend to love everyone.
or you just drink more like I usually do.
Yeah, and that's what I've been doing too the last hour.
What I'm about to do.
Yeah, I've been doing that for the last hour. Yeah, no, I mean it's pretty easy for me. But what do you think, Tom?
Tom, it's a quarter point per carry.
Yeah,
that's what
I think if I'm contending, then I probably go with Cook. You know, I probably don't like Kiki Kuti quite as much as everybody else. I mean, he did have some good games last year, but kind of one thing that going back to that first article that I wrote for you, Shane, looking at the structure of the team in Houston and what they like to run, they do 3 wide receiver sets, some of the lowest in the league. And they've been remarkably consistent. It's been like 56%, and then 55% the past 3 years. So O'Brien, for whatever reason, likes to have multiple tight ends on the field, which is going to limit the snaps and the potential targets available for multiple receivers. So we're not looking at a Rams situation where we're going to have 3 receivers on the field and they're all commanding high target share. So then you take 170 targets to Hopkins. Fuller is going to be probably the one opposite Hopkins on the majority of snaps where they're doing 2 wide receiver sets. And then you bring in Kuti into the slot. How many snaps is he realistically getting? What is his average depth of target? How many touchdowns is he going to get? So that's an aside on Kuti, at least in the near term. And so from that trade, I think if I'm competing, I'm fine selling 2020 firsts. You know, I think if I can get a player who's going to be contributing over the next couple of years and sell a future, I can get other 2020 firsts somehow over the next 2 years. And I'm okay. And I've had some conversations on Twitter and seen some about selling those future assets of people who disagree with me, but I'm okay taking Cook here.
Yeah, Jeremy and I both have talked about that a ton of times. Easily trade away 2021 first. I mean, we could get those back. That's 2 years from now.
Yeah. You don't even know if you'll be alive next year. Goddamn 2021.
I'm hoping I'm alive by the time we go to the MidWestFFExpo, you know.
And that's not even selling cheap on them. I mean, you could argue that Cook's value is 2 firsts plus a piece or 2.
Sure.
And so you're selling current day value of those picks, but you get 2 years of a player before those picks are even available.
They're not considering net present value at all. I mean, the what's the value of a player for the next 2 years that's doing well over those rookie picks? You could still trade the players we're talking about for those picks later, after you use them all season, for instance. But the slot receiver position in Houston is almost, I mean, like if they use 2 tight end sets, just your example of QT and how people overvalue players. If Fuller is on the field, and Shane talked about the splits before too, how well QT did even with Fuller and Fuller's snap, count going down. I think he was injured, but the point is there's too many mouths to feed on that team. That's just a common sense thing that somebody's going to take a hit, and I don't think you should value that player that highly.
Is this another trade then that Shane did that we every single person agree?
Bob, what do you think about those picks that are in the next decade?
Bob.
Yeah, I agree.
The next decade.
I mean, I get the logic. Like I said, I don't play it, but I get the logic. And, being a finance guy, the net present value thing speaks greatly to me. So, yeah, I mean, trading a stud running back for the next and having him for a couple years before the picks you traded even kick in.
Yep.
Yeah, that's a no-brainer to me.
I would love to know Bob's opinion on Devy leagues then.
Bob would hate them.
Yes.
Is this where we're drafting high school kids?
Oh my God, I hate it so much. I hate it.
Not exactly.
In some cases, if they haven't actually,
could we start scouting kids in 8th grade and
they do.
Everybody that Alabama signs 8th graders, we just automatically jump on them.
Yeah, they made me do a Devy league
based
too.
on genetic profiles of parents.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
22 years out.
It was funny. It was funny. What's his name? Ben Roethlisberger posted a picture of his little kid and his wife, and a friend of mine tweeted, "I'm gonna draft him in my Devy league." And Ben Roethlisberger liked his tweet. It was pretty funny. But
nice.
It's gonna go to jail.
Shut up.
So when the Hall of Famers all come in for my Hall of Fame weekend, I'll start looking around at the kids, and I'll go, hey, Anthony Munoz's grandson. Now there's a kid I want to get. He's an offensive lineman for sure. I want to grab. Yeah.
Yeah, I guess.
All right. So, hey, listen, that was awesome. Thanks for coming on and talking about this draft strategy and these trades. And Shane, Jeremy, did you have anything else you guys wanted to ask before we wrap everything up and go on to our Patreon show?
I don't know.
What kind of cigars are you bringing to the expo, Bob?
What's that?
What kind of cigars? What brand of cigars?
So my two favorite are Alec Bradley's and Diesel's.
I like Alec Bradley.
I actually did have a real question for you, Bob, about the show.
Okay.
Well, for people for people that are coming to the show, what can they expect coming to the show? What are they going to see? Who are they going to see? What's going to happen at the show?
Wow, that's a lot. All right, so basically picture this. You're going to walk into a typical convention center, small convention center. Very nice, got a water fountain in the middle. It's very, very professional, it's called the Cultural Center for a reason.
Love it.
Okay.
So you walk in, there's going to be 30 booths set up. And off to the right side, there's going to be a stage. That'll be the podcast stage. And so there'll be a podcast stage with the guys, everybody who's going to do their podcast are going to be up there doing their podcast every hour on the hour. And so those will be going live. There'll be speakers there so you can hear it kind of broadcasted out over the booths. So if you're walking around and you're talking, you'll still kind of hear those guys talking. We're trying to not make it too loud, but so live podcasts all the time. Then down the hall and back on the other side of that wall is where the main event stage is. That seats 200 people. It's a big stage, and that's what we're going to do. There are some people that are going to do some presentations about their products. So like one of them is a company called Statement Games that I just got into a partnership with, and they kind of do prop betting without money. So you don't have to pay anything. You sign up, you get coins, and then you win coins, spend coins, and then when you get enough coins, you turn them in for $25 gift cards.
So these Bitcoins? I'm just kidding.
No, they're not Bitcoins. They're just like fake coins. Think Candy Crush for fantasy football.
That's cool.
But yeah, so statementgames.com.
Cool.
So that they're going to do a presentation about their game. Like I said, Pick Draft's going to come as well. I assume they'll do one on theirs. And then my goal is, and this is what I haven't figured out, but this is what my goal is that all the other slots are going to be filled with a combination of either panel discussions, Q&As, or mock drafts. So my thought is that, we're going to get you guys and all the guys are going to try to get everybody to have at least some time on stage with something.
Awesome.
Whether it's a podcast, whether it's a mock draft and you're going to draft in the mock draft, or you're going to be in a panel discussion or a Q&A session. My thought is, I think I got enough guys to do a dynasty one. So I'll get you guys and I think there's a couple other dynasty ones that are going to be there, and we'll have a whole half hour or 45 minutes or whatever that'll just be dynasty, and that'll be in the program, it'll be on the website. So if there's dynasty fans, you guys as listeners, I assume when you're promoting the show, say, hey guys, don't forget, be there at the 2 to 2:30 range, because we're all going to be on stage. We're going to be talking dynasty.
Awesome.
So that's what I want to do on the main stage. So that it'll break things up and have different, things. Obviously, I would probably do one on consistency for a half hour. And so that's kind of the goal. So it's 6 hours jam-packed of just fantasy goodness, and regardless of what your favorite is, whether it's dynasty, redrafts, best balls, whatever the case may be, we're going to be there talking about it. So I think it's going to be a great. It's just getting the information out to the public and getting them to be there. So
that's awesome. Now I'm a lot more excited about it too. I didn't know about the stage stuff. That's cool.
Yeah,
he thought we were just going to kind of be like sitting in a corner and just kind of looking at each other.
No, that's
have
not.
Somebody at the booth, obviously, to pass out whatever you want to pass out. But but since you guys have multiple people coming, somebody can be here, someone can be there, someone can be walking around, whatever the case may be. So.
Yeah, Jeremy and I have gone over a lot of ideas, and Shane will just show up and we'll tell him what we're doing. So
exactly.
He looks pretty. He's the talent. When you have talent like that,
everybody knows David doesn't score points or whatever it is.
Well, thank you again, guys, for coming on. And you guys want to tell everybody where they can find you before we wrap up?
Go ahead, Tom.
Yeah, you can find me on Twitter at @FF_TomB. I write for a few different sites, as Shane mentioned. My Dynasty content is on dynastyleaguefootball.com, and I also do redraft content for Dynasty Football Factory, or Redraft Factory, that is. And then just encourage people to check out the fantasyevaluator.com. It's a new site that launched today and got some really great guys contributing some content on there, and it's an incredibly user-friendly, great site that I encourage people to take a look at.
Awesome. Thank you.
I'm writing this down. Evaluator.com. Sounds cool. I want to check that out. So of course you can find me at Bob_Lung on Twitter, the site BigGuyFantasySports.com, and the 2019 Fantasy Football Consistency Guide is at Amazon. And that's to get your hard copy. But if you want, then get the hard copy, go to the bottom of the page, come to the website, do the VIP upgrade for only $10. You get all access to the site all season long. And there's a code there on that. And of course, Midwest Fantasy Football Expo, Sunday, August 18th, Canton, Ohio. Go to MidWestFFExpo.com and you can get tickets and use TradesHQ.
Yes,
TradesHQ for your $5 off, and these guys get some credit as well. So make sure you go and check us out. And we're just excited to, we'll finally get together. And let's see, Jeremy, July 27th in Columbus.
Yeah, or the 26th maybe even. But yeah, the 27th for the home league draft, buddy.
Yeah,
awesome.
We're looking forward to it.
Well, thank you guys very much, and we really appreciate you guys coming on.
Thanks again, guys.
Yep, thanks a lot, Bob. Take care, buddy. See you soon.
See you guys. Bye.
Bye. All right, so that was awesome. We're getting ready to do a Patreon show, but we didn't tell everybody about our Patreon.
Oh, we have a Patreon account. It's awesome. You get an extra podcast a week, access to our community group me chat, which is always ongoing. You get the uncensored version of this. I'm definitely going to start writing some more once I'm finished with this fantasy guide that has sucked the life and soul out of me.
It also turned out that some of those guys got like first choice, I guess, when we did a new listener league, and that might happen with the next listener league. We've had a lot of requests for another listener league.
Our patrons, whenever we have a giveaway in any listener leagues, they're first on the list because they support us more than everyone else. And that's nothing against the people that aren't patrons. You still support us, but they support us a little more. So every time we have a giveaway, every time we have a listener league, you best believe they're going to be first on the ballot. That's not the right terminology. They'll be first under the gun.
No, that's not it either.
Wrong terminology, but they'll be the first to get stuff. The fantasy guide that I've talked about 16 times tonight. I'm going to give a bunch of those out to our patrons too, but not to many other people.
Oh my God. Well, yes. Go sign up. So thank you guys, and check out our Twitter account at DynastyTradesHQ. Check out our website, DynastyFootballFactory.com. Check out our iTunes account. Give us a rate and review because we will all be very happy with that. At DynastyTradesHQ, all one word on iTunes. And we really appreciate you guys listening.
Oh, yeah. Real quick, seriously. I'm tired of listening to other goddamn podcasts where they're getting all these fucking iTunes ratings.
Yeah.
Like they're this week we got 87 new iTunes rating and reviews. Like, seriously, if you like the show, please go give us a rate and review or no one else will find us. And like I've said before, it's like Tinkerbell without claps. We die without rating and reviews on iTunes.
Hopefully we don't die, but yes, please, we would really appreciate it. Thank you very much, and we will talk to you guys next week.
Word.
That was an awesome lockdown impression.
Say goodbye, Shane.
Goodbye, Shane.
Bye.